Instead of trying to change the white man in your mind, make you accept us, we change the mind of the black man and make him accept himself. And as soon as he accepts himself, he'll solve his own problem. He won't be trying to force himself into your factory and into your bedroom and into your kitchen.
With no education, you have neo-colonialism instead of colonialism, like you got in Africa 9, like you got in Haiti. So what we're talking about is there has to be education program. That's very important. As a matter of fact, we are so important for us that a person has to go through 6 weeks of our political education before he can consider himself a member of the party, able to even run down ideology for the party. Why? Because if they don't have the education, then they're nowhere. You dig what I'm saying? They're nowhere because they don't even know why they're doing what they're doing. You might get people caught up in an emotionless movement. You understand me? You might get them caught up in because they're poor and they want something. And then if they're not educated, they want more. And before you know it, they'll be chapless. And before you know it, we have Negro imperialism.
Peace and Black Power, family. It's Brother Agyei Tyehimba of Harlem Liberation School, where we teach our people to wake up, clean up, and stand up. In the words of our beautiful brother, beloved brother Malcolm X. I want to greet you all with the happy holiday greeting. Certainly happy Kwanzaa for those who celebrate it. Happy New Year. Regardless of what you believe, we all are in a new year, at least according to this particular calendar. And I hope this year will be one of health and abundance and peace and productivity for you, for those of you who are watching. I want to thank those of you who are watching live. I want to thank in advance those who will watch this in its later recorded version. Family, I want to begin our short, brief conversation. Oh, Sister Gloria D. Lewis, Happy New Year to you as well. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and happy Kwanzaa to you as well. I want to begin this particular session with a question. The question, family, is do you suffer from political CRS? For those of you who don't know what CRS means, it's short for can't remember shit. Can't remember shit. Those of you who are middle-aged may have had the experience of leaving your bedroom and going to your living room, going to the kitchen, and you said, damn, forgot why I came here. You went there with a reason, a purpose, an objective, and you got there and you say, damn, I forgot, why did I come here? And it takes you a minute to think about it, right? Did that ever happen to you? I call that can't remember shit, CRS. Well, when we do it in our real lives, it's usually innocent, innocuous. It usually doesn't negatively affect anything. We might have went to pick up a fork or a spoon, or we might have gone to pick up whatever, and we just forgot while we were there. But it doesn't hurt nobody. But see, when we have political CRS, that is very damaging and very dangerous to our community. What do I mean by political CRS? It means you have organizations, fam. Organizations that were started presumably to come to the community and organize the community. Organizations that were started presumably to pool the resources of the Black community. organizations that were created to help to politically educate the black community, organizations that were created to help teach the black community how to fight back, how to reclaim their former glory, how to have their own businesses, their own organizations, their own um, liberation theories, um, organizations that were created to do this great and mighty work. And then once those organizations were created, they got political CRS. They forgot what they came there for, right? You see, I'm a student, although I was born in 68, which makes me 55 years old. I'm a student of our history, particularly. I'm most fascinated by, at least in the within the American context, the 50s through the 70s. I'm very interested in that civil rights and particularly in that Black Power movement, Black arts movement, period, fam. It is fertile ground for those of us who are seeking answers, who are seeking to understand what happened to us. You know, what direction should we go in? What have we lost? What do we need to get back? What new directions do we need to go in? If you study them 60s and 70s, the 50s, 60s, and 70s, families, a lot of answers. And when I think of particularly the Black Power movement, I think of organizations like the Republic of New Africa. Their big thing wasn't having an event. We had this event every year. That wasn't their big thing. They were talking about we see ourselves as a government, a provisional government, which means we're not free yet. We're not an active official nation yet, but we are a nation in becoming. So once we become free, we will be the government of this new nation. So the Republic of New Africa was a provisional government. They projected in the future. They knew why they came. And their events, everything they did, their events, their publications, their speeches, the documents, all related back to this idea of nationhood, sovereignty, self-determination. It wasn't just having events to be able to brag about the event they had and how many people came. You know, I even think about groups like the Black Panther Party for self-defense and how they had a 10-point plan, and that 10-point plan was very clear. The objectives were clear, right? And the only time the Black Panther Party had a problem was in around 71 when those objectives started becoming fuzzy. That's when it was the split. Some say between Eldridge Cleaver and Huey P. Newton, some say between the East Coast and the West Coast, but it was deeper than that. The split in the Black Panther Party in roughly 1971 came about because some people, because of COINTELPRO, they were getting framed up, they were getting imprisoned, they were getting killed by the cops. People got scared. People said, well, you know what? Maybe we should stop with the revolutionary stuff, stop this idea of overthrowing the government and creating our own government. Maybe we should get into politics. Maybe we should focus on feeding the people and doing some of the softer things that are important, but got them away from their revolutionary path. They forgot what they came there for. This can get our organizations in trouble. But at the beginning, the Black Panther Party, that 10-point program, talking about freeing the prisoners, family, right? Talking about feeding the people. They're talking about an education for liberation. All of these things, revolutionary. They weren't satisfied just with having an event. Ooh, look who came to our event. No, and posting pic. No, 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 no. I think about all these organizations of the 60s, the Black Arts Movement, and how they were doing plays and writing poetry and performing poetry, consistently pushing this idea of nationalism and Pan-Africanism, getting us to see ourselves as an African people, as a worldly people. If we're living in the States, that our reach goes farther than the borders of the United States. That we were a global people, that we were part of the African diaspora, and that wherever Africans were, there we were, that we should organize and keep pushing this idea of us being one people, right? Consistently through the movement. Now, I want you to fast forward to today. I'm looking in my beloved community of Harlem. I'm very disappointed, very disappointed. And in a way, it's good I'm disappointed, because sometimes you have to be disappointed to be a little bit more assertive and aggressive yourself, to make sure you didn't forget what you came here for. So I'm looking at the stuff. I'm looking at the posts on social media. I'm looking at people's events. I'm not hearing nobody talk about revolution. I'm not hearing no people talk about black liberation. I'm hearing people talk about how many people attended our meeting and how many degrees we got. And no, it's almost like people it's like when Malcolm talked about the different types of slaves in the field, slaves in the house niggas, and it's like they are people who they project themselves as being revolutionaries. But really, they're just radical integrationists. They're militant integrationists. They believe in America. They believe America's okay. Just America has a few little trouble spots. And if we do this, if we get enough degrees, if we get enough money, if we get enough businesses, and right? And if we dress the right way, we pull our pants up, we do all this stuff, we'll clean America up. We get enough of our people voted in office. And it's like, no, y'all are not nationalists. Y'all are not talking about self-determination. Y'all cool with this nation. You just have a few minor gripes with the nation. And you guys will be the new sellouts. You'll be the guys that they did to the Black Power movement. How can we kill the Black Power movement? Give them jobs. Let them into college. Give them jobs. Give them access to loans for college. Give them job skills. These are all the things that were done. If you study Lyndon Johnson, and he created something called the Kerner Commission. He commissioned this group of people to study why were all these riots happening in America? What's wrong with these niggas? Why are they so upset? How can we stop them? All this property damage, the deaths, the assaulted police officers, the burned up cars and the buildings. How can we stop these Negroes from going crazy? So he commissioned them, this group, to study why do riots occur, who participates in them, and what are some things we can do to stop them. And if you can get the book, the Kerner Commission. It's a thick book, it's a report, but it's in a big thick book form. And what they generally found, they did a profile. The average rioter is a black men, roughly between 17 and 21. Don't have a lot of education beyond a high school degree, high school diploma, if they even have a high school diploma. Disenchanted, unemployed. And so they came up with these things to do. How can we stop these riots? Okay, we know who's involved. These black men between certain ages, unemployed, don't have a lot of formal education. Okay, so what we're going to do? We're going to let them into college. This is where you get some of the first COSEP programs and HEYOP programs and all these programs, right? Now, on one hand, it's good. On one hand, there's black people who try to create programs to get us into these colleges, get opportunity. But the white man had a different agenda for those programs. It was thinking that the more that we absorb them, right, the more we let them in and absorb them, the more we indoctrinate and acculturate and assimilate them. So that before you know it, they come out them colleges talking about, man, I don't want to go to that rally. I don't want to go to that meeting. I don't need political education. I don't want to hear about Africa and no drums. I know the ashikis. I just want to get a good job. And if you ain't talking about getting a good job, brother, I can't hear you. That's what it's designed to do. And it was largely effective. Largely effective. Largely effective. Look at our youth today. Look at the people today. If you say the word faggot, or any type of word that's considered that's a sexual slur. They'll say, hey, you can't say that, mom, dad, aunt, uncle. That's not cool. But Then you hear them say, nigga, 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 my nigga, that's my nigga, hell, my nigga. Bitch, 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 my nigga. You can see that's all good. See, what I'm trying to get you to see, family, is that they took our radical movement, they took our revolutionary impulse, and instead of fighting against it, they absorbed it and redirected it. They assimilated us. This is why I can go to all these different Black Kwanzaa events and Christmas events and New Year's events, and you're not gonna hear nobody say, we need liberation. We need to have our own schools that teach our values. We need to have not just businesses, not some capitalist enterprise where one family or person benefits and they're ruthless and they're very unethical and they're all about profit, but cooperatively owned businesses and enterprises. You don't hear nobody talking about we need self-defense, we need community policing, we need somebody to address these cops that are killing our people with impunity. You don't hear that at these events. What you hear is almost like chocolate covered white folk. We got to get our money up. We got to dress right. We got to get our minds right. And what does getting your minds right mean? Being like them. So you got people now who think that their degrees mean something beyond the fact that they got an education. I have degrees. I have several degrees. That doesn't come up though unless we're talking about it. When you hear these black people, oh, I got this and that's not revolutionary. You've been co-opted. You're a Negro now. Because that's what they try to do with free blacks versus enslaved blacks. They wanted white people wanted free blacks to look down in a condescending fashion at those of us who were enslaved. I can speak well, I dress better, I can eat better, I can communicate better. Malcolm summed it up in his whole parable of the house Negro and field Negro. And here we are, and it's happening right to this day. Right to this day. Our values are not those of a nationalist, Pan-Africanist, of people who believe in self-determination, of people who see that we are colonized in the United States. Our actions and our words are that of a people who have a few problems with America, but we think America's good for the most part. We just want a little bit better housing. And, if we had a little bit better education, and, if the cops weren't so mean, if we gave them some body cameras and shit and some sensitivity tests, then America would be better. No, family. I don't know how much more they have to persecute and just brutalize us with impunity before we get it. We are a colony within America. We are seen and valued only for our labor. And any cultural product or product that we produce, they try to appropriate. Hip Hop 50th anniversary. Yeah. And they're appropriating it. They got hip hop on it damn near every commercial I'm looking at on the television and the internet. They got white people doing hip hop moves, Korean people doing hip hop moves, and these people can't stand black people who created hip hop. And I'm looking at our events. What are we talking about on these YouTube channels? What are we saying? They got the people who used to be talking that real talk. Now they're comedians. There's a brother, I'm not even gonna name the brother, used to be a 5% brother. He was talking some stuff. Some of it I didn't quite agree with, but he was at least talking about nationhood. Now he's a comedian on the social media. Comedian now. The kids are backwards. We talk about them. They have no culture other than doing what I could do for myself, selfish, self-absorbed, ignorant, silly. And we talk about them, but we need programs to re-educate them. We need programs, rites of passage programs, African-centered schools, leadership academies, however you do it, to re-educate them. I'm not hearing any of this talk at these meetings, though. It's like people want to do everything right until it gets to that point where, looks like we're getting revolutionary. We're talking radical. We're going to stop right there. We're not going to push no envelopes. I mean, at least if we're talking about voting, then are we talking about creating our own independent, radical political party, at least? Or are we just going to go up into the Democratic Republican Party? Family, come on. That doesn't work. And then the schools have miseducated people to believe we telling our kids, oh yeah, voting is what got our people died for the right to vote. Oh, wait a minute, wait. No, that's not correct. Ain't nobody woke up and said, I'm ready to die and kill for the right to vote. People were prepared to sacrifice their lives and did in fact sacrifice their lives for freedom and liberation. It's just that in some campaigns that was expressed, as the right to vote. But people didn't wake up and say, I'm gonna die for the right to vote. People want the right to go to school, to have education, to be safe. They wanted to check police brutality. They wanted some say over their lives. It wasn't just the right to vote, it was a whole lot of things. And let me also say that they've taught social studies teachers to teach this lie, that the way that oppressed peoples mitigate those oppressive circumstances, the way that we fight back is through voting. It was just through boycotts, nonviolent direct action, marching, candlelight vigils. Hold on. Did you ever look at Cuba? You ever look at Korea and China? You ever look at some of the African countries and the African independence movement? Do you ever study actual people who were oppressed, who actually fought against their oppressors and actually got their own nation and what tactics they used? Because if you did, you would find that they didn't limit their approaches to voting and giving speeches. Many of them had revolutions. You don't even hear people talking about it. Like you can go. There was a time in the city you couldn't go to no Kwanzaa event, and you wouldn't hear people talking about we need to change the way we think, radically change the way we think. We're thinking like Europeans or Negropeans. We need to think like Africans. We need to think for us. We need to think in ways that protect and advance us. You don't hear that. And so I'm in Harlem. I'm checking out my beloved Harlem. I'm checking out different things. I'm not hearing. I'm not hearing. I'm not seeing and feeling the energy I should see and feel in 2024. I'm not hearing the political vocabulary I feel I should be hearing in 2024. I'm hearing that same old shit. I just gotta get a job, make sure I'm good. Or the females make sure we looking cute. Mm, wow. Is that what we've become? Is that what we've descended to? We just want to look good and not actually be good? Sad days. I'm not feeling it. And I'm going to speak against it every chance I get. I'm hoping that the organizations in Harlem that are actually revolutionary and radical, that actually believe that we have the right to be free and liberated and to make our own decisions and to govern ourselves and police ourselves, need to organize. Leave the Negroes alone. They still believe in America, still got hope for how they do things. Let them go their way. And in some respects, we can still work with them. But do remember, family, at the end of the day, you go to the doctor's office with a splitting headache and he cuts off both your legs and arms. That's the prescription. You in bad shape. We need doctors who have the right what? Diagnosis. If your diagnosis is wrong, prescription has to be wrong. And when I listen to some of these so-called leaders in Harlem and other communities, I'm seeing exactly what the great Kwame Nkrumah talked about, neo-colonial leaders. People that look like you, that look like a part of the indigenous population, may dress like you, may come from the same village or block as you or community, but they really are representing the ideas, the platform, the ideology of your enemy. And they're almost the middleman for the enemy because the enemy knows he can't come because we're going to reject him outright in some respects. So he brings in a Negro who talks that talk. It sounds real progressive, We're gonna take over the government. We're gonna get in office and we're gonna do this. Oh, that's been tried several times. Hmm. We're gonna take it over from the inside out. Yeah, we're gonna go inside of it. Yeah, I hear you. It never quite works out that way. And probably the last person that really was trying to do that, but unfortunately died of a heart attack before he could fulfill his dream, was the late great Chokwe Lumumba in Mississippi, part of the Republic of New Africa back in the days, and one of Assata Shakur's attorneys. He had a revolutionary political agenda that was practical. He died, unfortunately, and his son took over. Another story for another time. Family, we cannot afford to suffer from political CRS. Can't remember shit. You go to the kitchen, forgot, oh shit, why did I come to the kitchen? You forgot. But we doing it politically. We come into the community saying, I'm going to help you get your monies right. I'm going to help you get your families right. I'm going to help us fight for liberation. I'm going to help us have our own governance. I'm going to help us to be healthier. And we forgot while we were there. Now, next thing you know, we want to rub shoulders with the mayor. We want to take pictures with the celebrities. We want to shindig, and we forgot why we came, and our people are suffering, suffering. And we think because I got this degree and I went here and I did this accomplishment and we got this type of clothing and that we're saying something. But I feel like this, whenever I'm feeling I did something, I always say, how has what I've done positively impacted the people in my building, the people on my block, the people in my community? And if I can't answer that, that lets me know, Brother Agyei, you got more work to do. Because at the end of the day, if you live and die and the only thing you could say you did was look cute and have fun, you failed. You've got all these God-given gifts and talents and energy. And the only thing you do is work on how you look. That's your big achievement. Then we have failed. And so what I'm hoping in this new year, I know Harlem Liberation School is going to definitely be trying to bring that energy back into Harlem. Not this sort of Negro integrationist fighting for other communities and identities more than we fight for ourselves. That is ignorant and backwards. John Henry Clark said we have to practice the essential selfishness of survival, which means that, yeah, you can see humanity in other people and you don't like to see other people hurt and abused, but you take care of yourself and yours first and primarily. Race first, family. And not in a race supremacist way. You don't become like the oppressor. I ain't trying to be nobody's superior. I just want to keep everyone's foot off my neck and make sure that my family can grow and prosper without artificial barriers in their way. That's it. I want liberation. I want to govern myself. And I want you to think of this as I close. If you can picture this analogy on a slave ship. Now, you've been, let's say, imprisoned along the coast of an African country. And you have seen these strange looking white folk come with some other Africans, and they corralling your people up along the shore in these kind of man-made prisons along the shore, or these dungeons, slave dungeons or castles. And you've seen that they were whipping the people, abusive to the people, and that they were sending them off in these huge ships, never to return. So I don't know exactly where they're going. I don't know exactly what they're doing when they get there, but it's not good. And you get up on the slave ship yourself. You corral onto a slave ship where they're raping the women on your slave ship and children, where they're lashing you and then pouring soft water on your wounds, where they got you chained together, shitting and pissing on each other. Half of the so-called cargo dying of disease, and they throwing you overboard, and some of y'all jumping overboard. And you see a group of Africans partying, and bullshitting. In the midst of all that, what would you think of that? What would you think if you saw all of that nefarious activity going on? And you got some black people are trying to organize. They're trying to figure out, well, how many of us are from Mandinka tribe? How many of us are from this tribe, Hausa? How can we communicate? How can we plan and organize? They're trying to mutiny. They're trying to have a mutiny, kill the white man, take over the ship, and get back to their home. But you got a group of Negroes on the ship that know that they're going to some foreign country to be slaves for this white man, and they're partying. They're getting cute. The brothers making sure their hairline is right. The sisters making sure their lashes and everything. They're cute, but know that they're going to be enslaved. What would you think of them? See, it's all relative. If the country was fair for everyone, family, then we wouldn't be having this conversation. If there wasn't a history of enslavement and colonization, if there wasn't a history of the brief Reconstruction period and the 100-year-old Jim Crow period afterwards, and the legacy of racial apartheid in this country and racial discrimination, right? If there wasn't that history, we wouldn't be having this conversation. If everybody got along and there wasn't racism and misogyny and all those other things, but there is a history of that, and we can't act like that doesn't exist. So in that context, to be partying and just pleasure seeking and just cooning, when you see all of this stuff going on, when you see the reactionary right wing forces and how they're moving to get an outright criminal and fascist and definitely misogynist named Donald Trump back in office, you see how they're moving. And in the midst of all that, your big idea, your big contribution is, well, let me get a fake ass. You know, let me get my lashes right and my hair right. Let me get some bigger lips and let me go out here and shake my groove thing. Now we got a problem. See, it's all relative, right? It's relative. In that context, that is backwards behavior. And so I don't blame the masses of the people. I blame the leadership because our leadership came to this place and forgot why they came. They suffering from CRS, can't remember shit. And it is disgusting. And it is, if I can be honest, every time I see it, if I hear another Negro talk about the degree he got, so what? What is what is that education? If you're not using the education for our people, it really doesn't matter. If you just got a good job and you and your family's good, great, right? But what about all these other families? You see? So that's the message today. Please don't suffer from CRS. If you formed an organization and you say it's for helping black boys get a sense of what it means to be a man in this world, to have your own, to not be out here begging people for stuff, not be out here being a prostitute for people, doing things for people you don't love and don't like just because you need to get something, being responsible, keeping your word, protecting your family, right? Upholding good, righteous ideas and principles. And then all of a sudden, you let all that go because you want to get a grant from some white organization. Now you a whole different organization. You forgot why you came. Or you supposed to be having some etiquette school for girls to teach them how to be women, not some dependent on men women, not some my whole life is revolving around some man women, but women who are independently intelligent, can defend themselves, can build, can raise families that are strong and intelligent, right? And be partners to men, not their superiors, not their inferiors, but partners. And then you sell out because, well, that's not popular, or because, well, the money's over here. You chasing a bag. You forgot why you came. And in closing, I'm just glad that our ancestors didn't forget why they came. Harriet Tubman didn't forget why she was part of the Underground Railroad. She wasn't caught up in how she was looking. She was caught up in freeing her people. See, once we're free, family, here's the thing. If we fight collectively, everybody plays their little part. Nobody has to do everything. You play your little part. Stop being selfish and self-absorbed and so vain and arrogant and selfish. And do your part. And everybody does their part. And we become free, then guess what? With freedom and liberation comes, yeah, you can have people go to parties. If you look at countries, everybody's not in the military. A very small minority of people in the military, law enforcement, government. Most of the citizens are regular citizens, working, partying, going to games, doing whatever. They're free to do that because they have a nation or a national apparatus in place that provides protection and law enforcement. But we have none of that. And we're acting like we in charge of shit. And we're not. And that's the problem. We forgot why we came. We forgot why our ancestors came. And we forgot that we have not just an enemy, we have several enemies. It ain't just white folk anymore. We got people in certain parts of Asia that don't like us too well. Look at what China's doing in Jamaica, and Guyana, and Africa. Imperialists just like the white man. We got other types of people that don't like us, family. So it's time that we see things not as we want it to be, see things as they are, and we act accordingly. With that said, family, I'm going to go. Thank you for listening. God bless you all. Have a beautiful, happy new year. But let's get to work. Let's bring certain words back in our vocabulary. I want to hear more black people talking about liberation, not getting a bag. Liberation. Fuck a bag. How about a national economy? How about that, where we're employing our own people? Huh? Expand our consciousness, expand the way we think, start learning about other parts of the world, start asking how can we form partnerships with our people in other parts of the world, and stop being like animals, just seeking pleasure and seek power over our lives, family. Stop suffering from political CRS. That's it, family. Thank you. Peace and black power. Have a beautiful evening. Please spread the word. And please subscribe to the channel. Help us build. Peace.